So at this stage, the carving is actually looking pretty good. And I'm going to take another V-gouge that's just a little bit wider, and I'm just going to go through and just kind of accentuate the lettering just a little bit like this. And then on the bottom, what I'd like to do is put like a little flourish. And I think I'm going to have it look like bittersweet. So what I've done is I've traced out the line, and I'm going to use this gouge just to follow that line that I just traced out very carefully. Like so. Put like a little bend on the end of it. And then I'm going to use this U-gouge. Again, another Flexcut U-gouge, and I'm just going to make the leaves like this. I'm just going to take little controlled gouges like that just to make the leaves. And again, you don't want to make them too long. And I'm going to do that the same way on the bottom. Like so. Just taking little chips out like that. You can see how it looks. But what I'd like to do is take that V-gouge back, and I'm going to trace out just a little stem for the bittersweet, because then what I'll do is I'll actually paint in some berries on the end of that stem. You know, get the V-gouge again and just carefully follow that line just a little bit like that. And then I'll take the end of a paintbrush and just kind of put the berries in. Just drop the dots in very carefully. That'll look pretty sharp. And of course the leaves will be green, and the Santa lettering will actually be black. So in this case, let's just take a little bit of the sandpaper that I talked about and just clean off the front of it, and just kind of work in along the side of the present like that. Any place you see that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. And I forgot to put the hair in on the back of the Santa. And this is usually what I do, is I use this gouge again, and I just kind of follow it straight up like this to put lines of hair. And that sort of delineates the hair from the beard. And once it gets painted up, it actually looks pretty sharp. You just kind of follow the hairline around the back and up around to the side, like so. Like that. And you're starting to look pretty good. It's going to make a pretty good Santa after all. And just take that sandpaper again and just kind of work it into the beard like this. Any place you see that needs to be cleaned up. Doesn't take a lot of pressure, just enough to kind of clean it up just a little bit. The side of that present, along the base of the beard. And I'm just going to work on the eyes just a little bit, taking out some of those burrs just to make it look pretty sharp. And I use a heavy bodied flesh tone paint so it fills in all of those little cracks around the eyes and face, and it really makes for a nicely painted carving in the end. And again, I'm just going to work on the top of the mustache and clean that up a little bit. Any place you see that needs a little bit of cleaning, you just kind of work it in along the base of the beard. Base of the present like that. And then on the beard itself, just kind of take some of the edge off of that, around the base of the brim. Just kind of work the sandpaper in. And you just want to lightly sand the whole piece like this. It doesn't take a real heavy hand, just enough to kind of knock the edges down a little bit. Kind of work it in around the tip there, which is also going to be cream colored, by the way, the ball on the end. And just continuing to work in any place that I see needs to be cleaned up. It also makes it a little bit easier to paint too, when you kind of knock down some of the sharp edges. And underneath the nose like that. And it's turning out to be a pretty good little Santa. In the base, just kind of take the edges off the base and the back just a little bit. But the back of the Santa is going to look really good when it gets that polyurethane on it. It just makes that wood sparkle. Just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. And I like leaving the edges like that, because that piece of cottonwood bark, who knows, it might be 75, 100 years old. That's what was in the elements for that length of time. And it's nice to just leave some of that on there. I think people really like that when they see that. That bit of the wood that's been there for 75, 100 years, it's been subject to the snow, the wind, the rain, all of that stuff. It's nice just to leave it. And just kind of cleaning it up a little bit along the beard. And again, by the base of the present there, just a little bit, just kind of cleaning up any place you see that it needs it. That's why I like that sandpaper. When you crease it over, it really holds the edge. And it seems like it really lasts. And just making sure that face looks really nice and smooth. It's going to really stand out when you get that flesh tone paint, the eyes painted. That's what people love to see, is a really nice looking face on a Santa. And he's kind of coming along pretty good, just taking the edge off of some of the pieces there. Not bad. It's looking good. I think we got a winner here, folks. And again, the good thing about that cottonwood bark is it is nice to carve. Sometimes with the harder woods, the knife will jump out. You risk kind of cutting yourself or nicking yourself. Not in this case. This wood is really great to carve. So I want to thank you for joining me with this little project. I've got some more coming up along the way. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to click subscribe. It really does help YouTube get the word out. It helps the video get distributed just a little bit more. So don't forget to click subscribe, folks. I've got a bunch more projects coming up. And I hope this project just gives you an idea of how the layout works.